Hey everyone, Ryan here, and a list came out the other day on Brick Fanatics with every LEGO Star Wars set supposedly retiring in 22. The list can certainly change at times. There was a list 3 months ago that said it knew every set retiring in 2022, and some of that has changed already. So keep that in mind throughout this video, but I would expect most of this to be pretty on the spot as far as what to expect to not see as we go into 2023. I know that's a long ways away, but it will come up on you fast, and as a quick reminder, when sets are retiring, there's not like a date. It's not like an online movie thing or like on Netflix, like the day The Office went off Netflix was the day The Office went off Netflix. With LEGO sets, if a set is retiring on December 31st of this year, it could be seen for the last time in November because of the Christmas rush, and they aren't making new sets until the day it retires. And I should also say, these sets could retire sooner than, you know, the October, November, December era. Usually there are two regular periods where LEGO sets retire, and that would be December 31st, but also July 31st, so right before the two biggest waves of the year. So my ultimate recommendation with any of these is if you've been wanting any of the sets that you see me talk about today, buy them before July of this year. So give your, you have 6 months, 5 months, whatever, but don't wait around. They could be available until December. I'm not saying that's not the case, but some of these certainly could retire sooner. Oh, and I should say, if you do end up buying any of these, I'll put affiliate links in the description below. It's the easiest way to support your favorite LEGO YouTuber at no additional cost to you if you're going to buy something anyway from Lego.com, Zavvi, Amazon, that sort of stuff. Anyway, I've separated this into 4 categories. We have overdue departures, the time is right, gone too soon, it's obviously all pretty self-explanatory, and notable survivors and miscellaneous thoughts at the very end. So let's hop right into it with our overdue departures. These are sets that I think should have retired sooner. So first up, we have the 75255 Yoda. And this one probably should have retired at the end of 2021. It came out in fall of 2019, which means it is looking at being available for 3 years, which I suppose isn't a bad thing all in all, but that's just much longer than the typical lifespan of a normal LEGO Star Wars set. So Yoda, in my opinion, is an overdue departure. Our second overdue departure, the 75283 Armored Assault Tank. It's no secret it's one of my least favorite sets in recent years, and, I think it should have called it curtains at the end of 2021 at, about a year and a half of a lifespan, which is pretty typical for a set that comes out in August of a year to retire at the end of the very next year. So that one will be retiring at some point this year, but in my opinion should have retired a little bit earlier, whatever. Next up, the 75293 Resistance ITS Transport. The set that coulda, shoulda, woulda had Hondo and didn't, just overdue departure. 75317, The Mandalorian and the Child Brickheads. Maybe this one shouldn't be in this category, but in my mind, I always remember that first wave of Brickheads that I feel like retired super early, and so I always think of Brickheads as these kind of short-run items. So yeah, this one making it 2 years plus maybe is a little surprising to me just from my personal experience, but for people that love The Mandalorian and the Child, go pick it up. It's a great set. It's what, $15.79 or something on Amazon right now, really cheap. And then finally a set that shouldn't have even existed, 75297 Juniors 4+ Resistance X-Wing, a set that I'm entirely convinced only exists because it had BB-8, or they needed somewhere to have a BB-8 available throughout the last year and a half or whatever. But yeah, this one probably should have retired at the end of 2021, although it really shouldn't have existed to begin with. Now we have some big ones here, but the time is right for the UCS Imperial Star Destroyer, a set that came out in the fall of 2019, an absolute beauty. Should be retiring at some point near the end of 2022. That will give it a 3-year run, which I think is more than fair for a big UCS set like that. Like, I think that's where it should be at the very low end of lifetime for a $700-800 set. You got to give some people a good chance to save up money that don't make enough but still really want to have that sort of thing. But this one is one of the best UCS sets ever. It's one that I absolutely adore and love. It was a great improvement upon the original version of the Imperial Star Destroyer, and it'll be sad to see it go because I wish it could have the long lifetime like the UCS Millennium Falcon has been having, because the UCS Falcon came out 2 years before this and isn't retiring yet. We'll get to that. But yeah, it should be going the way of the dodo bird. Next up, the Boba Fett Helmet. Time's right. It'll be, a year after the show came out at the end of this year. So, everyone that got hyped into Boba Fett will have gotten it. It'll have been out for almost 3 years as well. So it's about time to see that Boba Fett helmet head out as well. The 75316 Mandalorian Starfighter, maybe even a bit too soon for some, but, a year and a half is pretty typical typical for a set that comes out in the summer of the previous year. It'll retire at the very end of the next year type of thing. So the Mandalorian Starfighter with that Gar Saxon lovely figure will be heading out. The AT-AT vs. Tauntaun Microfighter is also supposed to be retiring. Nothing much to say there. Another one that isn't like a, you know, Imperial Star Destroyer where it's like, oh, if they retire it too soon, it's not fair to people who need to save up for it. It's a $20 set. If you want it, go buy it. If you don't want it, live your life. Next up, we have the Millennium Falcon Microfighter also heading out the door. And, you know, not a surprise there as well. That one will have been out for almost 2 years, or 2 years at the end of its lifetime here. It's already been out for a year, so another one that's only $10. The 75299 Trouble on Tatooine, the Grogu Mando Tusken Raider set. I think it's the only set with a Tusken Raider right now. It's hard to say if they'll do any sets with Tusken Raiders based off the Book of Boba Fett, but if you need a Tusken Raider, or a few, that's the set you're going to have to buy as of now. A set that's also heading out is the Imperial Shuttle. Not a huge fan of the Crimson Chin, but it's still an Imperial Shuttle, so for people that have been wanting an Imperial Shuttle, that's the cheapest way to get one. Also retiring is one of my favorite helmet sets, the Scout Trooper helmet set, and another set that came out at the same time, the Imperial Probe Droid. This one has not gotten very hot reviews. It's got like loose arms and some weird attributes about it, but I still really liked it, and it goes well with that UCS AT-AT, so if you need it for your display, definitely pick it up by the year's end. We also have the 75310 Duel on Mandalore heading out, so that combo of the Mandalorian fighter and the Duel on Mandalore are going to be gone, and so, you know, if you need that Darth Maul figure, Duel on Mandalore, Ahsoka as well, $20, just real cheap. The Imperial Light Cruiser, kind of a surprise here, because the AT-AT that came out the summer prior is still carrying on at that $160 price point, but I think they have to get rid of something because they have 2 other $160 sets that are going to continue to be available, and they're bringing out another $160 set in this summer, so that'll be 3 again, so they have to get rid of 1, I think, so they just keep 3 instead of 4, if that makes sense. But it is currently the only way to get Moff Gideon, so, you know, if you want Moff Gideon, that seems to be the only set they're willing to put it in, even though they sat on their high horse and told us that minifigs shouldn't be exclusive to expensive sets, but then, you know, they refused to draw the line in the sand. They just arbitrarily chose the Republic gunship as the only set ever to say that about. But yes, if you want Moff Gideon, that'll be $160, please. Kind of unfortunate too, because they had a real opportunity to make a Microfighter Imperial Light Cruiser and put him in that alongside the Razor Crest, but it didn't happen. Anyway, we have the Armor's Mandalorian Forge also retiring at some point in 2022, so that'll be heading out. That's a really good looking set for the most part, other than, in my opinion, the Armor's Helmet, which is just markedly inaccurate. Now into the gone too soon category, sets that are unfortunately retiring a little too early in my opinion. The 75311 Imperial Armored Marauder, I think this is a fantastic set, and I hate to see it go so soon. I wish it could be a 2-3 year type of set, but unfortunately it's looking like it's going to make it a 1.5 years at the absolute max. But that's a spectacular one, and I definitely recommend picking that up, as well as the Darth Vader Meditation Chamber. I know I'm in the minority here. A lot of people don't seem to like this set. A lot of people think it's overpriced, and from what I've heard, it's particularly a poor selling LEGO Star Wars set, which is unfortunate. I really like the concept, and I really like the set. I think it's super cool. For people that own it, I'm sure you do enjoy it, and if you don't own it, it's highly recommended by M&R Productions. But keep your eye out too, because this is a set that is a Walmart exclusive, so it's at Walmart and LEGO, of course. It could go on clearance in Walmart stores. So if Walmart puts it on clearance, you could end up getting it for $30-40. Buy it if it's $30-40. You won't be disappointed. With Season 2 of the Bad Batch coming out in 2022, it's kind of surprising to see the Bad Batch Shuttle retire by the year's end, but yeah, this is one that I feel like is retiring a tad too early. Anyway, the final Gone Too Soon set and the final like retiring set on the list that we have right now before we get into the notable survivors is the Razor Crest Microfighter. You'll notice the Millennium Falcon Microfighter that came out a year before the Razor Crest Microfighter is retiring at the same time as the Razor Crest Microfighter, which means the Razor Crest Microfighter will have about half the lifetime of the Millennium Falcon Microfighter, which doesn't make any sense. Unless you're of my opinion that microfighters are getting the axe. Microfighters have been on decline for like the last 4 years. They've been less and less and less every year. And this year we only got 1. It leads me to believe microfighters ain't gonna be around too much longer. And if this list holds true and the Razor Crest Microfighter does retire at the end of the year, it's the only 2022 set said to retire by the end of 2022. So keep that in mind as well. That's a really notable thing. It doesn't happen too often. Then microfighters are going to be done, and that also begs the question, what do they get replaced by? Because they have to replace that $10 price point with something. So, you know, go wild with the speculation in the comments below. As far as I'm concerned, this is a pretty decent indication that microfighters altogether are going to be completely done and gone at the end of 2022. Now, right into the notable survivors, we'll flip it around on the Razor Crest, and apparently the 75292 Razor Crest is not retiring within the year of 2022. It was previously thought that it would, I think, because I remember talking about it at some point. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be surviving on, as it should, as it's a very popular ship from the Mandalorian show. Obviously, it has a new ship now, and hopefully we'll be getting that in LEGO form soon. But I think that one should still be being sold at least into 2023. Well, anyway, we have many other great notable survivors, including the 501st Battle Pack. That was originally on the list with the AAT to retire at the end of 2022, but with this updated list, it's surviving on, which to me says, and it's pretty obvious to anyone, that it's selling extremely well, and LEGO should really consider making more Clone Trooper packs like it with 212th and other Legions. Galactic Marines, anyone, please? Like, there's so many things you can do, and I don't know why it's taking them so long, but maybe summer of 2022, who knows? But yeah, this set continuing into 2023 is kind of surprising to me. It's, you know, it'll be going into its 3rd year on the shelves, which doesn't happen a lot for LEGO Star Wars sets, but it seems like it's becoming more common, so I guess I should throw out my old mindset of that. But yeah, it's pretty cool that that set of all sets is continuing on. Another couple sets not retiring apparently in 2022 are both Millennium Falcons. Even more surprising to me, the 2019 Rise of Skywalker Millennium Falcon is continuing on. Even though Walmarts are clearancing it out, I think it will still be available like online and in LEGO stores as far as I can tell. It's not on this list for retiring sets, but it is one that's been out for a long time, so keep that in mind. I guess it could retire on a dime, but you know, just if you want that set, go get it. It's a great Millennium Falcon. Speaking of great Millennium Falcons, the UCS Millennium Falcon is also not retiring, which is great. That's a set that just, I mean, it might stay out for a decade, who knows. Our next notable survivor is the 75288 AT-AT, one of the best AT-ATs LEGO's ever made, of course, bar that UCS model. But yeah, that one will be continuing on. Came out in the summer of 2020, so that one will be going into 3 years of lifetime as well. Also, the Child buildable character. That's a really good one to continue on. Of course, Baby Yoda is super popular. He's in the Book of Boba Fett, and he will be in The Mandalorian Season 3, and who knows what other shows he might show up in. So yeah, keeping Baby Yoda out makes a ton of sense. We also have the Darth Vader helmet, which is continuing on, and I wish that one would retire because I think it's really ugly, but I'm sure it sells well because it's Darth Vader. So yeah, they're not going to be retiring that one. Also, the TIE Fighter and X-Wing are not retiring, which is great because I think those sets should be available for like 5 years. Why are we going to remake a TIE Fighter and X-Wing every 3, 4, 5 years when you can just keep them out for 5 years? Because they're decently priced sets that are fine for what they are. And then also notable survivors, the Cantina, the Gunship, and R2-D2. So if you're looking for one of those big 3 sets that came out in 2021, you shouldn't have to worry about being in a race against time until 2023. So those should be out for the entirety of 2022. So if you need that $350 for the Gunship or the R2-D2, obviously the AT-AT will still continue to be out, or the Mos Eisley Cantina that came out the year prior, you know, you have a little bit more time, but be smart, get them as soon as you can. Don't wait too long, because you know, every time someone waits, they get burned. And then the final thing of note here is that the minifig packs, the Hoth pack and the clone pack, will not be mentioned on these retiring soon lists, because these retiring soon lists don't come from LEGO, they don't come from Lego.com, they don't come from LEGO stores. I believe they come from retailers like Walmart, Target, or mom and pop stores more so, more likely. So that type of thing is where they come from, and those stores obviously don't sell the minifig packs because they're LEGO store exclusives and only that. So we will not know very far ahead of time when those are going to be retiring. They should be out for the entirety of this year, though. I would be very surprised if they did retire before then. I mean, they've shown to be very popular. LEGO would be a fool to retire them, but LEGO has shown themselves to be that many a times, in my opinion, so you never know what could happen. As I mentioned earlier, if you do end up buying any of these from Amazon, LEGO, or Zavvi.com, I have affiliate links in the description below that helps the channel financially at no additional cost to any of you if you're going to buy something anyway, that is. Thank you guys so much for that. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe for the latest and best LEGO Star Wars content, and I'll see you next time.